Chapter 14 The Minotaur.
The myth of Theseus and the Minotaur is one of the most tragic and fascinating myths of the Greek mythology. Theseus, a Greek he, and the Minotaur, one of the most devastating and terrifying monsters, face off in a myth that involves gods and monsters, heroes and kings, and two of the main city-states in the ancient Greek world, Athens and Crete. There are many versions of the story, however, the underlying theme of the
In Athens, in Greece, there lived a king called Aegus. His son Theseus was brought up in the countrysides, far away from his father. When Theseus grew up, he took his father's sword and his father's sandals and came to Athens. He was a handsome young man, strong and brave, and his father was delighted to see him. After Theseus had been in the palace for some days, he was woken up one morning by the sound of people crying and wailing. He went to his father, the king.
Father, why are the people crying and wailing? And why are you looking sad? Across the sea, there is an island called Crete.
Explained his father.
Some years ago, we were beaten at the war by Crete, and we had to plead for peace. King Minos, the ruler of the Crete, is cruel and harsh. He agreed to give us peace on condition that every year we send him 7 maidens and 7 young men. King Minos has a terrible monster, half bull and half man, called the Minotaur. The beast lives in maze near the palace, and every year he eats the maidens and the young man. Can they not fight with Minotaur?
Asked Theseus.
No, my son. No man by himself can overcome that monster. The people are wailing today because our maidens and young man will sail away to Crete. Today, father, let them choose only 6 young men. I shall be the 7th. Father, you can't go.
Cried his father.
You will one day be king.
I shall go, father, said Theseus, and I shall kill the Minotaur.
After much argument, Aegeus allowed Theseus to go. However, before he went, the king said,
My dear son, I am old and may die before you return. But every morning I shall go to the cliff and look out for your ship. Your ship has black sails, because black is the color of death. If by any chance you are able to kill the Minotaur, take down the black sails and put up white sails in their place. Then I shall see them and know that you are safe.
Theseus promised to do this, and the next day he set off with 6 young men and 7 maidens. When their ship got close to the island, they saw a huge figure standing in the sea. The figure was human, but it walked with jerky steps. As the vessel came nearer, they saw that the giant was made of brass. He carried a huge club on his shoulder.
Who is the giant?
Theseus asked a member of his crew.
It's Talus, the man of brass,
Replied the sailor.
He walks round the island 3 times a day. He challenges every vessel. He cannot stop, but goes on, round and round island.
As the boat got nearer, Talus stood with his legs above the ship and lifted his club high into the air.
Where do you come from?
He shouted.
What business have you here? We bring 7 young men and 7 maidens from Athens for the Minotaur,
Replied the captain. The ship was allowed to pass between his legs and came safely into the harbor. The young men and girls were securely bound and taken before the king Minos. By the king's side was a beautiful young girl, his daughter,